This patch 0.3 almost completely killed the more intentional gameplay vision that so many people, including myself, expected from Path of Exile 2. Abyss, super fun, but it forced builds to be able to screen clear and screen clear quickly.
Again, I do not think that this is true. Jonathan's original vision was that the game was going to be relatively fast. I think there was no avoiding, and that's what ARPG players do want to do. Even if you stem all the way back to Diablo 2, like the best builds, what builds people wanted to aim for were builds that could clear a lot of mobs at once. Maybe it's not like blow up the entire screen big, but people were chasing for this, like, hey, clearing things as fast as possible has always been the MO for ARPGs. It's always been, hey, I want to gear my character. I want to make it strong. I want to make content trivial. I want to be able to farm loot as fast as possible. That is the essence of an ARPG. And I think that any ARPG that steps away from that is kind of stepping away from it being an ARPG in general. Like, I know there's No Rest for the Wicked that people always point out. It's like, hey, here's an ARPG that's like, not really that fast and zoomy. I played No Rest for the Wicked. I did not like it because I don't think it felt it. I would describe it as, because they describe it as an ARPG that is like very Souls-like, right? There's Souls-like combat, Souls-like ARPG. But I would say it's not ARPG enough to be an ARPG, and it's not Souls-like enough to be like a Souls-like. And that's why I don't like playing No Rest for the Wicked, because it doesn't feel like it really caters to either audience. If you're making an ARPG and you want to cater to the ARPG audience, you're gonna have to make it so that you're gonna be able to farm super fast, blow up big mobs, go fast, zoom, right? That's just how it is. The ceiling of zoom, however, you can decide what you want, because the ceiling of PoE 1 zoom is way higher than PoE 2. But at the same time, I would not say that PoE 2 is slow. And that's what a lot of people are saying right now. And I think it's kind of ironic as well. And maybe it's a different community, right? Maybe Try has never been at that community that was like, I think the game needs to go faster, right? He probably wasn't part of that community. But it's interesting because I feel like the prevalent conversation for the majority of PoE 2's existence has been that PoE 2 is a little bit too slow. And it's interesting seeing like these little bits and pieces, these pockets where people are kind of pushing back right now and being like, whoa, guys, why are we making it so fast? It's a little bit too fast for me right now. So I find it really interesting that we're kind of having this conversation pop up. And it's not just Try, though. The thing is, it's not just Try. Other people are kind of saying this as well. Like, I've heard other people talking about it. Maybe Try's the loudest one or the biggest content creator talking about it, but I've definitely heard other people say this and kind of share a similar sentiment. But I don't think that the game was ever supposed to be a not screen clear game. I think that since day one, it was supposed to be, hey, at some point, I'm going to be able to press a button and the screen's going to explode. Maybe you could make an argument that it gets there too early or too fast. Maybe you can make an argument saying that, hey, you should need a little bit more gear to get to this point. Sure, right? We can make that argument. But I don't think there's ever an argument saying that the game was never supposed to be at some point where you can just press a button and explode the entire screen. I do think, however, bossing is a little bit too non-intentional. I don't know. We do kill bosses way too fast right now. If you guys have played Path of Exile 1, you'll know that the uber bosses, the pinnacle bosses, they take a long time, and you're going to see their mechanics. In Path of Exile 2, you just blow that boss up and one-shot it. You don't see any mechanics. And it's funny how Path of Exile 1 is supposed to be the zoomy game, and Path of Exile 2 is supposed to be the bossing game, but meanwhile, Path of Exile 1 is more of a bossing game than Path of Exile 2 is. So I think there really is a misalignment there, and there needs to be a big change there. The screen clear stuff, mapping stuff, keep it fast, right? We all want that to be fast. But I think there's a conversation to be had with bossing, and that bossing should be a little bit more intentional. The gameplay there should take more than 2 seconds, and we should be going around and trying to dodge skills, do mechanics, and things like that, because I think that is more of what at least the game engine is kind of built around. So, yeah, like at some point, right? Maybe you're gonna get strong enough to be able to one shot the boss. I'm not saying we shouldn't be able to one shot the boss, but right now, every meta build is able to one shot bosses very easily and very early on. Like you don't need crazy funding to like kill a boss in 2 to 5 seconds. You really don't. But I think that that's a little bit too easy. So I think keep it, but maybe just for like the ceiling characters. And if you're like less geared, you got to deal with some of the mechanics, man. That's just what the game is made around.